Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Happier in the Philippine. I have tonight a special guest, my friend Dennis. I got to know Dennis through one of my good friends here. He's living in the same building as I am. His name is Chris, and hopefully, I'll get him on, for an interview. Dennis, welcome.
Thank you.
I heard that when we were talking previously and we met, I heard that you live in South Carolina.
I That was my last place to live, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Correct. Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay, but where were you born?
I was born in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Sort of midway between Pittsburgh and West Virginia.
Okay.
In a small little town of about 10,000.
Yeah. What's the name of the town?
The town is Connellsville.
Connellsville.
And so I grew up around coal mining area.
Okay.
Went
Yes.
to high school there,
Yes.
and then later I went to college at Penn State University.
Penn State, good university. Yes.
And stayed in Pennsylvania until I was 20, back from the military, about 24, I mean.
24.
Then I, because of the economy there, at that point, the steel mill, everything was centered around the steel mills
Yes.
in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And at that time, there was a high import of steel from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And the economy just really fell apart
Yes.
in that area. Very localized, but 25% unemployment. And I was 25 years old, and I had just started my career in finance and banking.
Yes.
So there was no loans being made. Everything was devalued.
Yes.
And so I ventured off into Dallas, Texas.
Dallas,
Yeah.
Texas.
So I relocated my family. I had one child at that time, and we went to Dallas, Texas, and I got back into financing there, and later on back into banking there,
Yes.
and spent 8 or 10 years maybe in Texas,
In Dallas.
in that area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had worked myself into some banks there, savings and loans. And then the savings and loan industry went through a bad cycle when a lot of S&Ls were closing. And
Yes.
so I got caught up in another cycle in my career, and at that point I relocated to Birmingham, Alabama,
Okay.
over in the southeast.
Yes.
And things were good in the southeast. And I got in with Regions Bank in the southeast and stayed with them for about another 15 years
Wow.
in Birmingham, Alabama, and
Yes.
moved on up into the ranks and was in their commercial lending department.
Yes.
Then the wife and me actually started. No, let me back up. No, I stayed with them until 1982, maybe three.
Yes.
And then the economy again. We went through a financial crisis in the U.S. and the stock market and the real estate industry collapsed, and there was no need for commercial lenders.
Yes.
So I found myself at 50-some years old and really unemployed, and no one was looking for anyone with my specific background.
Yeah. This is in Alabama. now.
Yeah, this is in Alabama.
Okay.
So I relocated again to a neighboring state, South Carolina,
Yes.
to Greenville,
Yes.
and the wife and me opened up a coffee shop cafe,
Okay.
and we owned that for 8 years
Yes.
there, and I was very happy. I was working 6 days a week and 14, 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
self-employed
Yes.
in the food industry.
Yes.
But I was happy. And then my wife took sick. She came down with breast cancer,
Yeah.
and some days she couldn't work, and then it got more and more days she couldn't work, and eventually, she passed away.
Yeah. God rest her soul.
And going back to the cafe every day without her was a big emptiness in my heart.
Exactly.
And so I decided to sell that. And after about 6 months, I did. And I found myself turning 62.
Yes.
And I said, I just need to get away. I have a lot of bad memories here.
Exactly.
And where am I going to go? Well, I just got this crazy idea. I'm going to go to the Philippines.
Good, crazy idea.
And so that's really how I never had been to the Philippines.
Never ever.
And never been to Asia.
Yes.
And so I got on an airplane in August of 2014.
Yes.
And I landed in Manila. And I had been chatting with a girl.
Yeah.
About 6 months prior.
Yes.
Almost on a daily basis.
Yes.
And of course she lived in Manila.
Yeah.
And Pasig.
Pasig. Yes.
And she was a widowed lady with 3 daughters that had lost her husband about 3 years before. Maybe age 40.
Yeah.
And I was with her for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And her and me got along fine, but the 3 daughters were all of teenage years, and they were 19 and 18 and 17. They were in those rebellious years.
Rebellious years, exactly. Yeah.
And me coming into their life, and after their father passed away, and we didn't have a real good relationship, and it was a kind of a relationship where you're not my father, and I really don't have to listen to you, kind of.
Exactly.
Thing,
Yeah. I've been through the same thing.
And they would have been rebellious even if it was their own mom and dad.
Yeah.
Just at that age.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I kind of walked into that situation, and so the daughters and me, we didn't vibe very well, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
But the mom and me, we got along, but some bad things happened along the way, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but I didn't like Manila as a place to live.
Yeah.
For me.
Yes.
It didn't fit my personality.
Yes.
It was too fast, too pushy.
Congested.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the people really weren't friendly, and mostly they were young, and it's kind of like, get out of my way, and it was hard to get through the door, hard to get on the jeepneys, and hard to get into the tran.
Yes.
And, everybody had their own agenda, and they were jamming in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, after a year, it didn't work out with that lady, and to be polite, and I moved to Cebu.
Cebu. Beautiful place.
And I like Cebu. That was back in 2015-16.
Yes.
And Cebu had not yet blown up. It was easy to get around in Cebu. It was still a beautiful place.
Yes.
There was much there to do, and I liked the pace of Cebu better.
Yes.
And it fit me, and I stayed there for a year. But I got involved with a girl who lived in Cebu, and she worked there. She had been there 10 years. But she really wasn't from Cebu. She was from Butuan.
Butuan, yes.
Mindanao. And so about 6 months knowing this girl, she told me that she was going back to her home place, which was Butuan. And after about a month, I found myself missing this girl, and we communicated, and finally I decided, what do you think? Is it okay if maybe I come visit you in Butuan?
Yeah.
And so as the story goes, I did fly into Butuan, and I met her and 15 of her relatives.
Yes. Yeah. At the airport?
At the airport.
Oh, wow.
And
normal. It's
for
normal.
for a lot of them, it was their very first time into the city.
Yeah.
And we ended up going to the mall, and I believe half of them had never been in the mall before.
In the mall before, yeah.
So they're very simple folks.
Yeah.
Fishermen, coconut
Yeah.
farming.
Yeah.
Nipa hut was their housing.
Yes.
And so I remember them sitting around at that table, the 15 of us eating and drinking beer, and of course the bill comes my way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But that's okay. And they all went back to their homes, and the girl and me, well, we stayed together for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was my longest relationship
Here in the Philippines.
Yes, and she was a single mom. She had 2 sons.
Okay.
Then when I met her, she was 25, and the sons were maybe 4 and 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
Not a lick of English.
Yes.
But over time, the boys were learning English, and over time, and visiting her mom and dad, we were given land right on the beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, beachfront property.
Wow.
You know? Yeah,
Wow.
a gift.
Yeah.
From the mom and the dad, and we ended up building a home there.
Building a house. Yes.
I built a sort of a natural materials home there.
Yes.
But it was on cement.
Yes.
Pillars.
Yes.
And very strong 4x8 beams, and
Yeah.
not your typical construction for that area, right?
Yes.
And we were only 30 meters from the water.
Yeah. That must have been beautiful.
It was very beautiful. I remember every night there was beautiful sunsets.
Oh, I can just imagine.
And the sky would light up red.
Wow.
And off in the distance, you could see Camigan Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the water was crystal clear.
Yeah.
So, in fact, you could only access that place by pump boat.
Oh.
There was at that point, there was no roads.
No roads. Yeah.
So, I had to buy a pump boat.
Yeah.
And you would go into town, an hour ride on a pump boat.
Yeah.
And that's how you do your grocery shopping and all that, right?
That was remote.
Very remote.
Yeah.
Of course, I was the only foreigner around, right?
Yeah.
But it was paradise, right?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, just living on the beach and seeing the sunset. Seeing
it was paradise.
Yeah.
And you adapted, and everybody there got to know me and accepted me, and I was always the guest of honor at the Christmas programs and everything at the barangay, right?
Yeah.
It was sort of nice,
Yes.
And time went on, and things changed between her and me, and I guess to end of that story, after 5 years, I left there. Mm-hmm. My house survived a typhoon, Odette.
Yes.
Odette came through there as a Category 4.
Oh, wow.
And the waves and the water actually came into the house.
Yes.
And all the other houses on the shoreline were taken out.
Yes.
Except for mine.
Your house.
Yeah. And only because of American-style construction.
Exactly. Built with pride.
Yeah. And so that house remained, and it still remains there, and all the other houses are gone now.
Gone, yeah.
But in my heart, I'm glad that the boys in that family have a house to grow up in.
Great.
And to live in. Yeah. And so, I put it behind me, I move on, and from Butuan, I came to Davo.
Davo.
I think before the pandemic, maybe 2018.
Yeah. So your relationship ended, and then you moved to Davo.
I did.
Yes. Yes. And
I came here, and I lived in this in this condominium
In this
project
condominium.
where you're living now.
Yes, yes.
But you weren't here.
I wasn't here. No.
But Chris, that you mentioned,
Chris was here.
here.
Yeah.
And several other Americans that are no longer here.
Yes. Yes.
And I made good friendships here.
Yeah.
But if I backtrack you, I'm an old musician.
Yes. Yes.
From U.S. and I've been a drummer since I was like age 8.
8 years old.
And so when I came to Davo, the attitude was open towards a foreigner playing music here, and I made many friends in Davo
Yes.
as musicians.
Musicians.
Musicians that played guitar and keyboard, and
Yes.
I was accepted here, and I ended up going around and playing music
Yes.
in Davo.
Yes.
And I was having a great time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in my mind, I'm back to when I was 21 again.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm really living the dream, you know.
Yeah, it's something you're doing something that you enjoy.
Yeah,
your music.
very much.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic came,
Yes.
and all the places that we used to play shut down.
Yeah.
Big changes and curfew, and you can only go out one day a week. And Davo was very strict because it had a high number of COVID cases.
Yes.
And so it got to be just too much for me. I couldn't go out. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't. There's just a lot of I can't do things. You know?
Yeah.
And my freedom was so restricted.
Yeah, well, not just you, a lot of people across the world, you know.
So many foreigners were leaving.
They were leaving.
And I didn't want to leave, but I didn't want to stay in Davo. And I talked to many of my friends back in Butuan. And they said, hey, you know, it's not that way here, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And through my connections, I found another place on the beach, another beach area, but on the water, that was open that I could rent. And so I jumped through all the hoops and the red tape, and I got myself on a bachelor bus.
Yes.
And it took me back to Butuan. But I didn't see the girl or the family that I had left up there. It had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, you're going solo.
It was on another part of the water, but I just lived there by myself.
Yes.
And there was very few restrictions. I mean, not even masks.
Yeah.
We could sit on the beach at night. We could drink a beer. We could walk. We could exercise.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
And so I really rode out the pandemic there.
Yes.
Rather than here.
Yes, which is a good idea.
So, you know, hindsight, yes, it was a good idea.
Best idea.
But I stayed in touch with my friends in Davo, and they kept saying, when you coming back, when you coming back?
Yeah.
So when the pandemic eased and things opened back up in Davo, and the bars opened up and the music places opened up, I found myself coming back to Davo.
Yes.
And that was in April of this year.
Yeah.
And I didn't come back to this condominium, but I live in another part of town that's very nightlife active and Matina. And so that's where I live now, and I'm happy there.
Yes.
I got myself a motorcycle.
Yes.
More freedom. And so I'm just enjoying life.
Yes.
To the fullest here. By the grace of God, I'm staying healthy.
Yes.
I stay active. I'm involved in music. I'm involved in my church. I have a lot of friends, and and looking back on everything, I can say that I wish I would have came to the Philippines 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I wish I would have came to the Philippines also when I was 18 years old.
But I wased old enough. I wasn't retired.
It's really very enjoyable.
It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, especially Davao. I'd like to ask you a question. You are staying here in Davao. What do you really think about Davao?
Wow.
One, and the second question is that recently you went to Mati, which is a remote area.
Okay.
Okay, so you remember we were chatting, and you're like, it's really great to come
Right,
back to
right.
to reality
Right.
and life. So,
Right.
what do you think about Davao?
You know,
From
having
all the places that you
yeah,
have lived.
having lived in Manila and Cebu and Butuan, Davao fits me, and I would say it's the best.
Yes,
Why?
I agree with you.
Why is it the best? Well, it's the best because um, probably if you go back into their culture and heritage, you know, Duterte
Yeah.
was the mayor here.
Yes, he was.
And he was strict,
Very strict.
with an iron fist strict.
Yes. Yes.
But it's because of that strictness that the culture here, the fathers have passed it down to the children. And,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and when I walk the streets of Davao, I'm 100% safe.
Yes.
I can walk the streets at 10 p.m.,
Same for me.
midnight, or 2 a.m.,
Yes.
and I can pass people on the street,
Yes.
and they will walk by me, and no one says nothing, you know?
Yes. Yes.
It's just super safe. I don't have to keep looking over my back.
Yeah.
I'm not always looking around to find out, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that feeling in Cebu. I didn't get that feeling even in Butuan.
Yeah.
Of course, not in Manila.
Yes.
Davao is the cleanest city.
It is.
The streets are clean. The gutters are clean. There's no vendors crowding the
It's
sidewalk.
handicap friendly.
Yes.
I know. I've noticed that it's very, handicap friendly.
And I find the people in general to be more respectful,
very respectful,
more polite, more disciplined.
very disciplined. When I cross the street,
Yeah.
because there's designated crossing areas. When you cross the street, everybody stops.
They stop.
Everybody respects
Yes.
you, and everybody
Yeah.
stop. And you cross the street, you feel, so safe.
Yes.
When you're crossing. There are some other locations, where I've crossed the street, I almost got killed.
And when I walk,
Yeah.
I take my morning walk.
Yes.
And when I do, I see younger people going to work.
Yeah.
And the greeting that I get in the morning is "Good morning, sir."
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Good
Yes.
morning, sir.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And when I'm in Cebu or when I'm in Manila, either
Yeah.
there's no greeting at all,
Yes.
or it's like, "Hey Joe, hey
Yeah.
Joe."
Yeah.
And there's no "Hey Joe" here in
Yeah.
Davao.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
"Sir." you
Sir.
know?
Yes.
And everybody's respectful, polite in the stores when we go into the stores, right?
Exactly.
They go out of their way to try to be
super
helpful.
friendly, and then everybody's inquisitive
Yeah.
of who you are.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you can add to this. When I go out every day, okay, I always get approached. Where are you from?
Mhm.
Who are you,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah.
And very polite, respectable
Yeah.
people, and they want to know who you are.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can add on that from your experience.
So, I just really like the openness of the people here.
Yes.
They're not clannish. They're not.
So, like we were saying, Dennis, tell us a little bit more about Davao, and then also the remote area that you visited in Mati.
Okay. So we've talked a little about Davao and what we like about Davao.
Yes. Yes.
I've experienced Davao twice, before the pandemic and after the pandemic. I like Davao enough that I wanted to come back here after the pandemic.
Yes.
And just I like Mindanao.
Yes.
Let me expand. I enjoyed my time in Butuan. I enjoyed my time in Davao. I have actually toured around Mindanao on my motorcycle.
Wow.
Surigao City and
Amazing.
Tandag,
yeah.
and Bisling and Cayenne de Oro
Yes.
and Iligan City and
Elegant.
Zamboanga.
Zamboanga, yes.
I just like Mindanao. I like the openness, the space of Mindanao.
Yes.
There's no pollution, very little. We get fresh air.
Exactly.
The roads are not congested. unless
Yes.
you're in a major city.
Going through the major
But
city.
from one major city to the next major city,
Yeah.
it's very quick.
Yes.
There's no congestion,
Yes.
and I find generally that the people are more friendly. They're not in a
Hurry.
hurry.
Yes.
They're not industrialized. They're not 9 to 5ers. And foreigners are more acceptable.
Yes.
So I find the police, I
Yeah.
find government officials to be more friendly and more
Very,
open
very friendly.
in Mindanao
Yeah.
compared to Cebu, Manila.
Yes. Yes.
So I like Mindanao as a whole.
Yes.
And I like the cost of living here.
Exactly.
Because it is lower cost to live in Mindanao compared to housing, particularly housing,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Compared to Cebu or Manila.
Yes.
We can get the same for 25% less.
Less. Yeah.
So I like Mindanao. And I like the beaches of Mindanao. I like the shoreline
Oh
of
my
Mindanao.
God, they're very beautiful.
And it's not super congested. They're not on the top 10 list, and you can make a reservation and go to the resort, and it's not just jam packed with people.
Yeah, it's almost
So
sometime you'll go if you go during the weekday. Sometime it's empty.
yeah. So you asked me about Mati.
Mati.
I've been to Mati twice.
Yes.
And I went to the Hashian beach.
Yes.
Now, when I first got to this beach, it's a public beach.
Yes.
But I tell you, once you get there, the white sand gets to be 12 inches deep,
Wow.
and the water gets to be very deep blue.
Blue.
And you can close your eyes, and I could tell you that you were in Boracay,
Yes.
which is one of the most famous beaches in the Philippines
Exactly.
or in the world.
Yeah.
And you would think that the Hashian Beach, you were in Boracay.
Yeah.
I've stayed in some resorts on the Hashian Beach,
Yes.
and I know that the nightly rate there is probably at least one half of what that rate would have been had I been in Boracay.
Yes.
So I enjoyed the same environment and everything that you enjoyed going to Boracay,
Yeah.
without the expense of going to Boracay.
Yeah, the expense of going to Boracay.
Not
basically.
only the nightly rate of the resort, but also
Yeah.
the food prices and everything else, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, living on the cheap, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with looking for bargains.
Exactly.
I can enjoy everything that I could in Boracay for half the price, right?
Yes.
Mati is a 3-hour drive from Davo.
Davo.
I've also been in Samal, right?
Samal, yeah.
Yeah, I know
Samal
Samal.
is very beautiful.
I've been in Camigan,
Camigan, yes.
which is off the shore of Cayenne de Oro.
Yes.
All beautiful beaches, resorts there. It's paradise.
Yeah, but when Dennis and I, we message each other every morning.
Yes.
Okay, and we're kind of like the same, on the wavelength. Okay, because his first message usually in the morning, it's a beautiful day. It's a great start. Thank God, that we are alive. Let us
Yeah.
enjoy this day. And I really love, him when he said that to me, because it also gives me a lot of motivation, instead of having a friend that he's like put like just extrovert introvert
Mm-hmm.
So this guy and me, we match every day. We message each other every day. Good morning, good morning. He goes out for his walk, I go out for my 1 hour swim. And we meet almost every weekend. He will come to visit us. He's a really good guy. He come to visit Chris, and also he come to visit me, which is an honor that he come to visit me. And really, Dennis, he really motivates me. Every day he motivates me. When he came back from Mati, he's like, I could tell by his messaging, because Mati It's very beautiful, but it's very remote. He went to like a really, really remote location.
Yes.
So when he came back here, you know, it's like coming back to reality, you know, to the city, to the hospitals, to the services, to
Yeah.
the, you know, a lot of malls, you know, to the, you know, just being, maybe you miss your motorcycle also.
I do. I miss the nightlife. I miss the
Yeah.
restaurants.
Yes.
I miss the malls.
Yes. And it's here.
I miss the action.
Yeah, and it's and you know, I wish you would talk just a little bit more, you know, about what did you miss when you left Davao?
You know, life in the province is very simple.
Yes,
It's about existence there.
exactly.
It's about living through today so you can wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is there's very little work, and if there is work, it's fishing or coconuts.
Yeah.
And the people get up at 5 a.m. and they go to sleep at 8 p.m. and that's about it. It is just a routine. Let's eat breakfast, and after breakfast they're thinking about what we're gonna have for lunch, and after lunch they think
Yes.
about what we're gonna have for dinner,
Yes.
and then after dinner it's like, okay, let's go to bed, you know,
Lights out.
and
early.
and that's life for them.
Yeah.
But it's not the life for me, but it's
Yeah.
the life for them.
Exactly.
And I can enjoy the scenic beauty. I can enjoy the beaches and the quiet and the family time and all that. But I couldn't enjoy it for any length of time.
Exactly.
You know, put me in there for 3 days, 5 days, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Ask me to stay there for a month, we got a problem. You know?
Exactly. Because you know, life is here in Davao.
So yes, life is here. And so when I come
Yes.
back to Davo,
Yeah.
I feel the energy of the city.
Yes.
You know, I see the buses, I see the traffic, the jeepneys.
Yes.
I see the malls now and the big buildings.
Yeah.
And I get energy, you know.
Yes,
the vibe, you know.
Yeah, you're never bored. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like I told you. You know, when you wake up in the morning, I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
We message each other.
Yeah.
I can feel your vibe. You know, your positive vibe, and then your positive vibe reflects on me
Good.
also, and it's give me, you know, it's give me
Yeah.
a good motivation.
Very
also.
good.
Yeah.
So I know the hospitals are here. If
Yeah. We were talking about you know, the hospitals here. Have you visited any hospital here?
I had a procedure. I had a kidney stone, and I had a procedure, and that was in fact that was in Butuan.
Oh, Butuan. Okay. Yeah.
But I have visited the Metro Medical
Yeah.
Clinic.
Yes. Yes. Down here.
Right around the corner from
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Right?
It's only 5 minutes walk.
And I have went in there 3 times for different. One time it was a urologist.
Mm-hmm.
For their checkup for kidney stones.
Yeah.
One time I went in just a general practitioner,
Yeah.
family doctor.
Yeah.
I think maybe I had bad flu, and maybe I felt like I had some high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And then the third time I walked in there, I was having trouble hearing and vertigo, and I found out I just had an old wax buildup,
Oh, okay.
and I had to have my ears cleaned out.
Oh, okay.
But I found that every time I walked in there,
Yeah.
and I talked to the receptionist, what do you need, you know, blah blah
Yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
and they'll direct me to 2 or 3. Well, go see these 2 or 3. Go
Yeah.
see, and I walk in, and I usually walk out, and you know, and I have my problems cured.
Yeah.
Very good doctors right around the corner.
Yes. It's a research center also.
And if you have
Yeah.
a serious medical problem, the hospital's connected right there. You
Exactly.
know, for your X-rays or your blood
Yeah,
work
yeah.
or whatever
Exactly.
you need, right?
Exactly.
So I feel like I get as good a treatment as I would
Yeah.
back in the U.S.
Yes.
at a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
Huh?
I've just visited
At a fraction.
recently. I visited recently. It only cost me like, I think maybe $21 with the medication.
So you know,
Yeah.
when I look at the big picture and Mindanao, Davao, the restaurants here,
Yes.
the malls here,
Yes.
the medical facilities here, I feel like you know, I really get a lot of bang for my buck.
Yes, exactly.
And my U.S. pension converted into the Philippine peso, it's really quite well.
Yeah.
I can live very well here.
Yes.
Where that same pension in U.S. dollars, if I was back in U.S., I would struggle, you know.
Yes.
And my life would not be near as full as it is now. Living here, so
and that's why, you know, most retirees, you know, they prefer, you know, to come here or other Asian countries, because, you know, their buck goes more longer. You know. Well, Dennis, thank you so much, and really, please, it was really an honor to interview you, and then let's do more interviews together, because I'm pretty sure, you know, that the audience, you know, they would love to hear from you, and, you know, get more insight about Davao, because, you know, when you say Mindanao, most people, when I say Mindanao, they're like, no, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. You know, everybody's like kind of like fearful.
Right.
But Davao really is a very, very safe place, and I know you agree with me.
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You.